In this video, we'll be looking for VLOOKUP formula. Let's see what is that. This is the data which I've given on the table. That's a vertical table. So if I apply a formula on this table, that becomes a VLOOKUP, vertical for V. So V stands for vertical here. Now what is that VLOOKUP formula exactly mean is, suppose I have this table that is top products, product code, quantity and price. If you see, the products are given here: mobile, camera, watches, cosmetics and so on. Now suppose I want a price of, let's say, one item, that is laptop. So if you see, here's a price. I have to go in this laptop and I have to find the price, that is 20.95. So I've written 20.95. Now imagine if I change the product name. If I find as I want, let's say, watches, so I'll go and type here watches. Yeah. So once I find watches, I'll go to the watches record and I'll go until that I find out the price, that is 31.95. I'll type here 31.95. So now it is easy because I have a very small table. Imagine the data is huge, and if you want to find out the product or the price, any option if you want, so that time it is difficult. We have to use a function known as VLOOKUP, right? So I'll type here a function for VLOOKUP. I'll delete this and I'll type here. What does VLOOKUP says is, VLOOKUP says that is my lookup value. This value I want to see in this table. So in this table, what it will do is, it will find out the product and which column value you want. Do you want this column value or this value or this value? So that column number we have to give it. Okay, so let's see how we can go. So I'll type here a function as equal to VLOOKUP. You see here it's saying as lookup value. Like we humans find a value, first we look up at this, then we go into this column. Same way it says lookup value, comma. Second, it says table array. I have multiple tables in this sheet, but I am interested in this sheet itself. So I'll select this table, right? So in this table, it will find out this watches, comma. Next it says which column index you want. So I want this price column. So with respect to this red color line, which is the column number I want? This is the first, second, third and fourth. So I'll type here a value as 4, comma. And next it says as true, that is approximate match, or false, that is exact match. Right now I'm looking for exact match, that so I'll put here a number as 0. 0 stands for exact match, and I'll close the bracket. Now what does 0 means is, we'll understand when we go for the approximate match, but for time being use as 0. So that is the function for VLOOKUP. Now if I press enter, you see the answer, that is 31.95. If I change the product, instead of watches, if I put here, let's say camera, and I press enter, you see the answer, let's see, camera, that is 28.95, which is absolutely correct. One more example, I'll type here clothes, enter, and if you see, that is $8.95, the answer, which is absolutely correct. So I hope you have understood how to get the values using this VLOOKUP function. So I have something here, that is the top product, that is the price I have written here. So I'll type here a function, same VLOOKUP, that is my lookup value, comma. I'll select this area as my table array, that is the second parameter if you see. Third parameter is the column index number. So I'll put here a comma as 4, comma 0. Now you might imagine, what is this V table? V table is the name range given to this table, and I'll press enter, close the bracket, press enter. So I've got the answer as 20.95. So let's see, laptop 20.95, the answer is absolutely correct. Now if I buy something, let's say 4 quantities of laptop, and if I want a total of this, so what I can do is, I can just type a simple calculation equal to this cell multiplied by units number, and I'll press enter. So if I buy 4 units, so I'll get this. What if I buy, let's say shoes? So if I buy shoes as 4 units, and if I press enter, so it will automatically give me the calculation. So if you buy something from the website, let's say from Amazon or any website, Flipkart, so you type the product, you type the quantity, and it gives you the answer. So this is possible using VLOOKUP function. Let's see one more. Now every time I have to go and type the number, let's say shoes, laptops and everything. So what if I create a drop down list in this cell? How do I find it? Then it will be easy to understand. So what I'll do is, I'll create a drop down list in this cell. How do we create it? It's in the data tab. I have this data validation. I'll select here list. In this list, what I want is, I want the numbers which are printed here in this place, the data. And I'll click on OK. So what has happened is, if I click on this drop down, you see those are the items which I've got. So now my works become very easy. So I'll select here the option as laptop and I'll type here a function. So I'll type here a function as equal to VLOOKUP, same function, that is my lookup value, comma, that's my table array, comma 4, comma 0, and I'll close the bracket. VTable is the name of the table. I'll press enter. So now this we are looking as VLOOKUP with data validation. What is the benefit? I do not have to type the number. So or the data I do not have to type. I'll select the option as products, perfumes. I'll select the option as watches and mobile, anything, let's say clothes. Same way I can just copy paste the formula, Control C, and I'll press Control V. So I'll keep on getting the answers, cosmetics and shoes or laptop. So this way you can work VLOOKUP with data validation and you can keep on getting the answers. Whereas same VLOOKUP with name range, we have seen VLOOKUP with name range is the same. I'll type here equal to VLOOKUP, that is my lookup value, comma. Now I'll type the name of the table, that is VTable, comma 4, comma 0. So instead of typing the area of the table, that is A1 to C20 or A1 to D20, I'll type the name of the table, that is VTable, and I'll press. So this is what we call VLOOKUP with name range, and that's all for this. So we have seen VLOOKUP with data table, data validation and name range. So I've got the same answer. So I hope you have understood how to work with vertical table, that is using VLOOKUP and exact match. So I hope you have understood. That's all for this video. In this video, we'll be looking for VLOOKUP with approximate match, the meaning of 0 and 1, the fourth parameter in the VLOOKUP. Let's see that what it is. For explanation, I've written some dummy data here. That is, if you see, I have sales amount, category and commission. Suppose there's an employee working in a company and if he does a sales of let's say $2,000, he'll get a commission of let's say $40 and the category it belongs to OK category. Similarly, if I do a sales of let's say $5,000, I'll get a commission of $500 and very good as the category. But in a company, it's not exactly like people will do a sales of $5,000. He might do a sales of $4,500 or let's say $2,500. So what category he will fall under? So let's see how we can calculate. So at the bottom, I've written here a function. I've written here sales done. If sales done by a person is this much, what is the commission paid? So let's see how we can do it with a VLOOKUP approximate match. So I'll write here a function as equal to VLOOKUP, lookup value, comma. My table will start from this place because this lookup value should belong to the first column of the table array, comma. And I have something here, column index number. With respect to table, I have first, second and third, 3, comma. Now instead of 0, I'll put here answer as 1 because I want to find out the approximate, what is the answer, and I'll press enter. So it says for $1,000 there's no commission, that is 0, right? 0. So let's see what is the difference. I'll just type here as 2000. So for 2000 the answer it gives as 40, which is absolutely correct. If I do a sales of let's say $5,000, I'll get the commission as 500. What if a person does sales less than 500? If I do a sales less than 500, let's say $4,500 and I've pressed enter. So let's see, if I do a sales of 4,500, I'm getting a commission of $200. So if you do even a single sale less than this 5,000, it goes up and you'll get the amount as $200. Similarly, if I do a sales less than $3,000, 2,500. Now if I press enter, what I'll get is I'll get a commission of $40. I'll press enter. So you see there's a $40. If I do a sales less than 2,000, that is let's say 1,000 and press enter. So less than 1,000 if you do, I'll get a commission of $0. So approximate match is used to give the approximate answers nearby somewhere. So let's see how much you'll get a commission of $40. So you'll get a commission of $40 if you do a sales of $2,000 to $2,099, that is $2,000 to $2,999. So if you see on the left hand side, I have written here, if you do a sales of 2,000 and less than 3,000, that is 2,999, so you'll get a commission of how much? $40. So on the left hand side, there's an explanation given and these are the amount you'll get it. Now it has some rules given here. For example, if I change it to let's say $10, yeah. If I do a sales of less than the first one, if I do a sales of less than $10, if I do a sales of $2, what is the answer I'll get is, I'll get the answer as not available because it's nothing about that. So if you see the first one, less than the first value in the lookup column displays value as not available. Second is, in this lookup value column, I can only have the numbers, I cannot have the text. So how it should be, this numbers in the first lookup column should be sorted in the ascending to descending order. You cannot write a text here, but you have to write numbers, and that too in ascending to descending order. Next one is, if I type here $2,000, I am getting the answer as 40, which is absolutely correct. Now if I remove this parameter, instead of 1, if I remove this parameter, the fourth argument, if you see, it's a range lookup that's in the square brackets. If I remove that, what is the answer I'll get is, I'll get the answer still the same. So by default, if you forget the argument in this, it will consider as it an approximate match. So I've written here, leaving fourth argument blank makes it as approximate match. So even if you don't write, it's still the approximate match. So I hope these are the rules and how we can go with VLOOKUP with approximate match. So that's all for this video. Thank you. In this video, we'll be looking for VLOOKUP, but something advanced, that is using a trim function. Normally, the data which you get in the company is not sorted, or it is not properly sorted with the spaces. Let's see how it is. I have a data here, that is top products, product and quantity price, and that's the data. I want to find out using this data, that is lookup value, and I want the price for this. Now, I'll just show you something here. If I double click, and if you see there's a space in this mobile text, with the help of this mobile, I want the price, but the same mobile space, if I click here, in my main database, there is no space. So if you use the same formula, it will throw an error message. So how do I remove this space? So you remember, we have seen there's a trim function. Trim will remove unwanted spaces between the text, and then I can use the VLOOKUP function. So VLOOKUP, inside that I'll use a trim function, and I'll type here. So what is that function is, first in this lookup value, I'll remove the trim, that is the unwanted spaces, and then I can find out the value. So you can see here, equal to VLOOKUP, the space is in this text, so I'll use a trim function, bracket open, and I'll select the text, comma, and next is, I have the lookup, that is table array, so I'll select this table array like this, comma, and this I have selected, but now if I drag it down, this data will change. It will change to A5, A6. So this data, this table will come down. So what I need to do is, I need to make it fixed. So I'll press F4 from my keyboard, and also here F4. So now this is fixed, the data is fixed now. So it will not change when I drag it down the function, comma, and now I'll put here answer 4, comma 0. So once I close the bracket and when I press enter, I'll get the answer as 26.95, which is absolutely correct. Similarly, if I drag it down like this, so I've got the answer all correct. So if I just verify, cross verify, if I click on watches, the watches is how much? 31.95. Similarly, if I go here watches, that is $31.95, which is absolutely correct. Now, this was the situation when we had space in the lookup value. What if you have the next scenario? What if you have the data, the space in the table itself? Usually in the company, you'll get this kind of data where there will be space in the cells. So how do you manage it? So that time you have to use this kind of function. I'll put a trim for this data, and I'll use this VLOOKUP here. Now if you see in this mobile, there is no space, but if you double click here, the space is here. So this earlier one and this one is vice versa, opposite. So let's see how we can go for it. Now I'll type a function equal to VLOOKUP, bracket open, and now I do not use trim for this lookup value. I'll just use the normal function. I'll select this option, comma. I will use a trim for this entire table because the spaces are in this table. So I'll use here a trim function, and I'll select the entire data. Obviously I'll press F4 because I want to lock the cells, close the bracket, comma, right, and then I'll put as 4, comma 0. 4 is the column number and 0 is the exact match. So once I press enter, you will not get the answer. Yes, you didn't get the answer. The reason was, when you're using array functions, you have to use Control Shift Enter. Only then you will get the answer. So I'll just double click here and I'll press Control Shift Enter from my keyboard, Control Shift Enter from my keyboard, and I've got the answer. But the answer looks something different. I'll tell you why. If you see this 26.95 and this 26.95, the difference is, this is on the left hand side and this number is on the right hand side. So on the right hand side you always get the numbers, but on the left hand side you get the text. So this answer which I've got is exactly a text, it's not a number. So if you want to convert into a number, what you can do is you can add a 0. So what I'll do is I'll just press plus 0 and I'll press enter. So the number earlier which was on the left hand side will come on the right hand side, enter. But the reason was why it's not showing as value because I have to press Control Shift Enter. So I'll press Control Shift Enter and I'll get the answer, and I'll drag down. Right, so I've got the answer properly. Again for watches, $31.95. So I hope you understood how to remove the unwanted spaces, and you can use a VLOOKUP with this trim function. That's all for this video. In this video, we'll be looking for HLOOKUP. Now, if you see on the screen, I have a table. Now, if you see in the previous one, vertical table, now this is a horizontal table. How do you understand a horizontal table? If you see, I have the row headings. Earlier, I had something column headings. If I apply a function on this, it becomes a HLOOKUP. What exactly is HLOOKUP for? If you see, I have written here top products like say mobile phone camera and all, and product code, quantity and price. With respect to the product, I want to find out the price. I have written here a top product as mobile phone, and if I want to find out a price, let's say mobile has a price of 26.95. So how I can type a formula for HLOOKUP is the same way, equal to HLOOKUP. Now the very first thing it says as lookup value, comma. Second thing it says as your table array. Now that's my table array. So I'll select here till I get the entire table, and I'll put a comma. Next is the row index number. In VLOOKUP it was as column index number, but in HLOOKUP it is row index number. With respect to table, which is the row I want the fourth row, that is the price. So I'll type here comma 4, 0. That's it. So now I'm expecting the mobile, that the answer is 26.95 once I press. So I've got the right answer. Let's try one more. If I want the answer for the cosmetics, so I'll just type here cosmetics, I'll copy paste, Control C, Control V. So right, so I've got the answer for cosmetics, that is 35.95. So same way, like vertical lookup, that is VLOOKUP, we have something here HLOOKUP, and the only difference is instead of column index number we have to put as row index number, and instead of VLOOKUP I have to put the answer as HLOOKUP. So that's all for this video. In this video we'll be looking for some VLOOKUP rules. Let's see those one by one. Now on the screen, if you see, I have some data written here. The top products, product code, quantity is the same data which I've used earlier. Now if you see, mobile is repeated n number of times, that is 3 times in the column, and if I want to find out the mobile value or mobile price, I'll type a function here, that is VLOOKUP, equal to VLOOKUP, that's lookup value, comma, that's my table array, comma 4, 0. So if I press enter, let's see what is the value I'll get is, I'll get 26.95. But what about the other two mobile, that is mobile here, that is mobile, which is 28.95, and some value which is 20.95. Now the very first rule, which is about the VLOOKUP, lookup value should be unique in the column. There should not be a duplicate value. It should be always a unique number, right? Unique value in this place. So if it is repeated twice or thrice, it will give some error messages. So always understand, you see I've written here, lookup value should be unique in the column. Next rule is, you can find out values, if this is on the left hand side, you can find out on the right hand side. That means lookup can go from left to right, but you cannot go from right to left. That is the second rule, right? So left to right is possible, whereas right to left is not possible. So that is a limitation, or you can say as rule of a VLOOKUP. Third one is, lookup value should belong to the first column of the table array. Now if you see, that is my lookup value, it belongs to the first column of the table array. So let's see, if I want to calculate using a product code, I want to find out a price. So I'll type here a product code, I'll just copy paste rather than typing, and I'll type here VLOOKUP, that's my lookup value, comma, and here is my table array. Now if you see the third rule, it says lookup value should belong to the first column of table array. So this is my lookup value, it should belong to the first column of the table array. So if you see the red color lines and the dancing ants, so from here I have selected my table. So this is my first column, and if you put here comma 4, now the column index number becomes as 1, 2 and 3. So I'll put here as 3, 0, and I'll close the bracket. So I'm expecting the answer for this one as 26.95. Right, I've got the answer as 26.95. So these are three rules about this VLOOKUP. The very first one is VLOOKUP value should be unique in the column. Second rule is, you can go from left to right but not from right to left. And third rule is, your lookup value should belong to the first column of the table array. So I hope you understood all the rules about the VLOOKUP. That's all for this video. In this video, we'll be looking for lookup function. We have earlier seen for VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP how it works for vertical table and horizontal table. Now let's see how lookup function works. On the screen, if you see, I have some data given here, that is the income and the tax. Now if I put here income in this place, I should get tax from this table which is retrieved using lookup function, not by VLOOKUP. How do I go for it? Now I'll just type here a function as equal to lookup, right? Equal to lookup. Once I open it, it shows me two formulas with different parameters. I'll go with the second one. It says as lookup value comma array. For me, the lookup value is this one, and the array which is belongs is second this entire table. So I'll select this as lookup value comma, and this is my table array, that is array in short they have called this, and without the column headings, and I'll press enter. That's it. So for 5000, because the 5000 value is not present, I'll insert some value which is present in the table. Let's say 25,000 insert. So for 25,000 it is showing me as 25. You see here, if I insert some value, let's say 6,000 which is present in the table, it says as $20, which is absolutely correct. But now if I insert some value which is not inside the table, let's say if I insert 4,500 which is absolutely not inside the table, what is the answer expected? If I use VLOOKUP, how do I get it for approximate match? It goes above in the upper column and it gives me the answer as $15 because 4,500 is not there. Now you see, I've got the answer as $15. So it's working fine for this. So what is the benefit of using lookup function? I do not have to use 4 parameters. First thing. Second thing is it's very short formula. And another thing is lookup function works for vertical table as well as horizontal table. So this was for vertical table. I'll show you something that's a horizontal table. I have just copy and transpose its data. I'll keep my cursor here and I'll try to find out this value. This value is not present, so I'll insert some value which is present in the table. This one, 25,000, enter. Now I'll type a lookup function, same, no change, equal to lookup. That's my lookup value, comma, and this area is my lookup, what you call lookup array. You can say stable array or simply array, either of them. So now if you see, I will write only 2 parameters, not more than that. Even earlier one I have written 2 parameters and I'll press enter. For the answer for this value is 25,000, I have $30. So once I press enter, I'm getting $30. The answer is absolutely correct. Let's try one more. I'll insert some value which is 6,000. So I'm getting the answer as $20, which is absolutely correct. Let's see whether approximate match will it capture or not. I'll enter here as 4,000, some random value which is not present. So expected answer, you see 1,000, it is less than 6,000, that is it comes in this range, $15. So the answer is absolutely correct. So parameters are, it has saved, your time will be saved here. Next one I have this kind of table where if you see there are different types of columns here, which is the ID, last, first and email, phone number. Now what I want is when I insert some ID number, I should get the phone number of the person, respective person. So how do I use it? Similar to that formula, only 2 parameters. One is the lookup value and second is the table array. That's it. So I'll use equal to lookup and I'll use this lookup value, comma, and this is my table array without the column headings. That's it. So I'll press enter. So for this number 48, the last 2 digits, if you see 48, I have the phone number that is 34, last 2 digits, and I'll press enter. So the answer is absolutely correct, 34. Now what I'll do is I'll not type and change the numbers, I'll just copy paste it. So I'll press Ctrl C and I'll press Ctrl V here. So you see for 53, the answer should is expected is 23, which is absolutely correct. It's working fine. So this way, the lookup value is belonging to the first column of your table array and the result vector belongs to the last column of your table array. Now you might be wondering, if I do not want the last column as a result vector, how should I get it? So for that I have one more example given here, this one. In this place I want ID number and I do not want email ID, I don't have, I want the first name. So I'll just delete both of them and I'll type here as first, enter. So now once I put ID number, I do not want the last column, I want the third column. How do I get it? Same function, I'll use it. The only difference, if you see in the function, I'll show you, equal to lookup, open bracket. That's my lookup value and I'll select this entire data. Now if you observe the previous example and this example, my lookup table is only till this place as a last column. So first name of the column is first and that belongs to the last of my table array. And once I press enter, I'll get with respect to 49, this one, I'll get this name, that is Pineflow, and press enter. So you see the answer I've gotten. Similarly, if I copy this number 50, Ctrl C and I press Ctrl V, so I've got the answer as Kurt, so which is working fine, right? So this way lookup value will help you to reduce your time and effort and it works everywhere. So lookup is evergreen. Let's see one more, the next one which I have, lookup for full record. Now what exactly full record means is, suppose I have this number as 48, that is the ID number. So with respect to 48, I do not want any one value, that is email ID, phone number or first and last name, nothing. With respect to that ID number, I want the entire record to be displayed here. So how should I go for it? So same lookup function can be used here, right? So I'll just keep my cursor in the formula. The first function or the first formula you have to write it properly and rest all can be easily, just drag and fill. So let's see how. Three parameters you have to remember for lookup function. First one is lookup value. That's my lookup value. Where does your lookup value belong? Lookup value belong to this lookup vector in this column. Third one is what is your result vector? For this one, if you want this value, result vector is last. If you want this one, the result vector is this one. If you want this phone number, result vector is this column. So let's see, we'll go for the function here, equal to equal to lookup. Select the cell, that is the lookup value. So I've selected the cell lookup value. Second is lookup vector, that is my lookup vector. So I'll select here lookup vector, right, comma. And third one, it says look, what you call result vector. So I'll select this result vector here, and I've got the answer here. And I'll press enter. But before pressing enter, if I drag the function here on the right hand side, what will happen is A17 will become B17, C17, D17. So my lookup value is this one. It should be fixed. It should not change. So I'll keep it as fixed. Similarly, my lookup vector is also fixed. So I'll make it as a $sign. How do I make it? I'll make it as fixed reference. The shortcut key to make it as fixed reference is press F4 from a keyboard. Cursor in between and press F4 from a keyboard. This one is locked. Similarly, if I want to lock both this lookup vector, I'll press F4. Similarly, I'll press F4. So that's it. These are the only minor changes you have to make. Rest the formula is easy. So I'll press enter now. And if you see I've got the answer, I'll just drag right on the right hand side. Let's see whether the answer is correct or not. For 48, that's the number 48. I've got this name correct, and the number which is 34, which is absolutely correct. I'll just try one more example. I'll try to copy this which is given here 50 and I'll paste here. So let's see whether the entire record gets pasted here. Control V. Yeah, it's working. Something has come. So for 50, if you see the caller and Catherine and the name is given here, caller, Catherine, everything. So it's working fine for the record. So just remember this function or the formula how it is. Lookup value, I have the lookup value. Next I have the lookup vector and the result vector. Using this, I'll get the entire record. So I hope you have understood all these lookup values. That's all for this video.